So lately it feels like Sorcery the Contested Realm is facing a bunch of slippery slopes, mostly of its own making, which could cause increasing problems for the card game. In this video I want to give you a quick overview of what I see as the main issues it's facing and the mistakes being made by the people behind the game today. Over the past years, Sorcery has quickly become one of my favourite and only card games that I'm engaged in. With less and less time to spend on games, this retro TCG that puts traditional art front and centre, has great gameplay and also importantly a slow release cycle was exactly what I was looking for. I'm part of a chill Sorcery community with a few die-hard fans that are willing to travel and gather at local and international events to play the game we love. Because I'm increasingly invested in the game, not just in terms of money but time and energy, I also care a lot about issues it's facing and that have caused some of the frustrations of late, and I want to share some of those here. The first slippery slope I see is game balance. Coming from other card games, it's fine for me to have powerful cards and a meta consisting of a few top decks, while different strategies still being playable at lower tiers. But Sorcery grapples with this a fair bit because they want both competitive play but also a kitchen table vibe, and this in my opinion has led to quite some issues. First there's the rarity system, which Sorcery seems to rely on to print really busted cards and not have to take action against them because they're just a one-off and you won't see it every game, so it can't be too warping. This is true, but it also leads to high variance and big swings depending on what you draw, which as a competitive player is not what you're looking for. Meanwhile, as a casual player, these cards quickly become unaffordable, so it feels twice as bad once you lose against them. Sorcery has to be really careful on how they deal with this going forward. One of the ways they've tried to deal with power outliers is erratas. People in the community seem pretty split on this topic, as I've found, but I personally am really opposed to it. To me, it goes against Sorcery's whole vibe as a paper TCG, because it makes it very difficult for new players and there's just not enough to gain by doing this. They sometimes use justifications such as the design intent, but at the end of the day it doesn't change the fact that the cards just don't do what's written on them, and that's a problem. This is a slippery slope because where does it end? Because I believe if a critical mass of erratas are reached, it makes both competitive and casual games a nightmare. In my opinion, you should just ban the cards that are too strong or leave the cards alone that are strong but nowhere near game breaking. The second slippery slope is organised play. We've seen some attempts at organised play with the cornerstones into Crossroads and now Grand Contest system, which is something but by far not enough to motivate people to compete, I think. There's two main issues. The first is the prize support for these events. The most recent batch of promos for both small cornerstones and grand contests have just been disappointing. Cutting back on really unique arts of playable cards and instead offering stuff like Alt Art Flaming Skull, which is completely unplayable, or the Silver Bullet, which only sees fringe play. Meanwhile, they've cut back on offering foil avatars to the top 8, which was a really nice incentive. And the second issue is that Cornerstones, the baseline events at local level, are just weirdly hard for a store to get, requiring them to always be on top of it and emailing back and forth with Eric's Curiosa, or even DMing them on Discord to chase it. It's just not a good and sustainable model for these events. Our local store got a Cornerstone once, but was now dropped off the list again for some reason. They also didn't get a store kit with no news on whether it will eventually be available. So it ends up with the store itself having to arrange tournaments and footing the bill for any prizing beyond a few boosters. There's so much more potential here, but Eric's Curiosa doesn't seem to care too much, and soon maybe the players won't either. The third and biggest slippery slope is card availability. There's increasing grumbling about product not being very available in places especially outside the US, with stores not stocking or not being able to get Gothic. Though I haven't experienced much of this yet besides the usual delays, I definitely understand how frustrating this can be and how it kills local communities. Stores have very little incentive to foster community and run events if they can't sell the product. On top of that, even if you ignore booster boxes, the singles market in Europe is mostly limited to Discord groups, which makes getting specific cards a big pain. For the first year or two of the game, we can put this down to distribution issues, but by now, I want to see an improvement. What I find more problematic still are conscious decisions by Eric and crew to make cards available in very limited quantities. We had the Dragonlord debacle last year, where there was a very short window of availability before it was pretty much gone forever. Now most recently they've announced Dust Store exclusive cards geared at fixing the meta, but this is the worst combination of cards that competitive decks need, and which are only attainable by spending a total of 1,200 dust if you want all of them. To get that much dust, you have to buy over $1,000 worth of boxes or play in a ton of official events. To make it even better, if you're not living in the US, you're paying a hefty shipping fee on top of that and even customs. These aren't some fancy alternate arts which are the intended way to reward loyal players, but again cards that you need to compete. That leaves a really bad taste, and of course you can get these in a secondary market, but consider that 100 dust is roughly valued at $10 plus shipping, plus people wanting to make a profit selling them. These are going to be very pricey indeed. The price consideration isn't everything though, there's also the psychological aspect. Knowing you can't open these cards in regular booster products and then being locked behind a paywall of fantasy dollars just doesn't feel very good, and I understand some of the reactions I've seen online. So those are the current slippery slopes Sorcery finds itself on, with the worst case scenario being that it alienates part of their already small player base. Let me know your thoughts on these issues in the comments so we can better judge whether these points are overblown or an issue that resonates with people. Hopefully Eric's Curiosa finds a way and the motivation to sort this stuff out, and in the meantime I hope that I'll be able to make some more positive content focused on the game. So until next time, sorcerers.